Okay, so as promised, here's our Mercury retrograde experience that's going to be happening real soon. Today's November 18th, so I wanted you to have this at least a week ahead of time. You can see it happens November 25th, 6:42 p.m. Pacific, so adjust to your time zone. So the deal with Mercury is, election level, it relates to the vote. It's coming in at 22 degrees of Sag, 22 degrees and 40 minutes, and it's going to start, well, it doesn't, none of the planets ever move backwards, but it's just our relationship with the Earth that makes it seem that way. But the degrees will change, going, I have to say backwards. I mean, how else do we do it? It will reduce down to 6 degrees of 6 degrees and 23 minutes. You can see we have 22 degrees and 40 minutes here. But hold on, it's still red there. I think I have something wrong. 1 second. Let me go back 1 minute. No, forward. There we are. I screwed up. Yeah, hold on. Yeah. 22 degrees, 40 minutes. There we go. Okay, there, that's corrected. Sorry about that. So, 22 degrees, 40 minutes, wherever that lands in your chart, and going backwards to 6 degrees of Sag. You can see it'll connect with the sun at some point. These two will kind of really jump in together, combust. I think it's called Kazemi or something, going into the heart of the sun. But anyway, Mercury is everything to do with how we think, how we communicate, how we process information, how we negotiate with each other, how we articulate ourselves, or our words, articulate our words, basically. How we find connections and patterns, tracking patterns, how we translate our thoughts. It's good, especially in Sag, it's good for learning a foreign language. But it's more internal, right? Any retrogradation of a planet brings the planet, we're working the forces internally. So we have to be careful about misunderstandings, and especially with the written word, because we have, with the opposition here to Jupiter, now we've already had the exact opposition to Jupiter and Gemini, Gemini's words, but print, verbal, all of it, all types of communication. Sag is usually the movement of the information. So we do want to be careful that we're not misunderstood. It's really hard to understand a person's tone when they're, in the written word, when you don't have the voice. So being that we've already had the opposition, now we're going to go back over and have another opposition to Jupiter, because Jupiter moves a lot more slowly than Mercury. And so the retrogradation phase is always threefold. It stations retrograde, goes back, and then stations direct, and then it goes back over the same place where it was before, right? So we're going to be going through a process, basically, of what do we really think, what do we really understand, and what do we believe in, most of all, with Sagittarius. It's, what do we have faith in? We're going to be exploring what things mean to us, and especially, thinking about it, mulling it over. We're going to be wanting more freedom than ever. But, freedom is something that really, you have to have it within yourself, but you don't get freedom within yourself, which will relate to the outer world, if you're not willing to take self-responsibility for creating your own reality. Jupiter is holding space for that, for us to get a new mindset around, and Jupiter's retrograde too. I'll do a separate video on that. But because it's been retrograde for quite some time, but I'm going to do separate because we're midway through it, and it's just it's a lot. So, but anyway, the opposition here, we're gathering facts and information, and they're coming in. Well, sometimes they're coming in, hot and heavy, and a lot, hard and fast, and other times we're waiting. We're sitting and waiting, wondering, okay. It came in too fast when the election was called too fast, right? Thanks to Elon Musk and his satellites and his app, and thanks to the collusion of Russia and China, all of that I've already spoken about, don't need to go over it again. But the deal is, when we have an opposition with Jupiter, over here we're trying to gather facts and get the facts so that because Mercury rules facts, it rules transactions and votes. It would rule voting machines. And what happened is what we really want to know. What do we have faith in? Do we have faith in our government over here? Do we have faith in, represented by Saturn? Do we have faith in the print, the information in the mainstream news? They're already focused on everything that Trump is doing to install this new cabinet. I kind of have a feeling, though, that's going to help people to see where he's headed, and that's going to gather the forces working against him, because he's coming after military generals. He's coming after with threats of treason, for pulling out of Afghanistan the way it happened. Well, coming out of a war zone is never going to be pretty, and we should have never been in there in the first place. But that's not Biden's fault, right? So anyway, you can ask other countries how it went for them going over there trying to. It hasn't worked well for anyone, but for any country. So for us to try and keep this personal, we're going to be processing a lot of information and trying to get the facts versus lies. And we want the facts so that we know which way to move forward, which is basically what Mercury retrograde is all about. Or Mercury's all about. But when it is in retrograde, we are going within. It brings things into an internal focus where we are processing, what do we really think? In Sag, it's what do we really believe? But we keep getting more information because Jupiter keeps blowing up more information. So we are going to be in this process of just sifting through, gathering information, making a decision as to what we believe in. Now, Sagittarians on the dark side can be kind of a little too patriotic and kind of a little too religious, and there's dogma in both of those realms, right? And I'm not saying anything about, I believe in God. I have a tight connection to Christ. I do not at all in any way relate to the Bible. And if you can't wrap your head around that, then you might want to check to see whether you're in duality or not. That this is my, understanding over years and years and years. You can have a deep connection to any ascended master or whatever you want to call them. I always thought Christ was the master way shower. Anytime I would sit and meditate with him, I can feel the energy coming in right now, and it's solid and it's strong, and it's like it does not waver. It's committed. His energy was his consciousness, who he is still, just because he's not here on Earth anymore. It was committed to love and inclusiveness and compassion. And, of course, forgiveness. But if you want to go with the Bible that's man-made and written by, mistranslated, at least go to the Gospels of Thomas if you want to get more, Christ vibes, or Christ consciousness. But Constantine is the dude that wrote the Bible and actually just, bastardized the text. It was written in Aramaic, and they took it and there's going to be beautiful parts of it. There will be amazingly beautiful parts of the Bible, which are the words that Jesus actually spoke. But the rest of it, give me a break. Women were not created from, or Eve wasn't created from Adam's rib. She is her own entity. The whole Adam and Cain, you just have to think things through. And you can realize that women are scapegoated and gaslit in the Bible. And that doesn't go with Christ. That doesn't fly with Christ. So there's no reason for this, religious dogma that is extreme. We've got an extreme here. We're headed towards an opposition, an exact opposition. We've already had it once. We're going to get it again. And it's, mental on the dark side, mental and religious, patriotic, just dogma. It's not the truth. But they're going to hold because there's an extreme. And, that's what got us here. This is the problem. This is why was Roe v. Wade overturned? Again, I've said so many times before, women will die. Women have died. Here we have this kite formation almost. It's just missing one, trine over here. It's there if I set the aspects to standard rather than tight, but I wanted to leave it the tight orb so that you could just see simply what's really going on as Mercury stations retrograde. With the Sun in Sag in a sextile over here to the South Node, we have an opportunity to explore the past. The Moon, which rules women, home, roots, past, fourth house, right, is in the sign of Libra, bringing through that possibility to revisit the past and think in terms more of equality. Pluto in Aquarius, which I did a separate video on, is holding space for the law of brotherhood and sisterhood. We're all equal. We can join with our kindred spirits. We can make new friends, right? And I won't go into the rest of it because I've already talked about it. Just look at the other video. But the sextile coming from Mars to the South Node. This is where we're headed, back to the past. We are going to be revisiting the past, relationships of the past, values of the past. And, all this over here is ruled by Venus, talking money, too. One of the biggest searches right after the election was, I think there were 700,000 searches on Google for, can I change my vote? Because they learned what the trade, with the tariffs, what tariffs, who really pays for the tariffs? And they learned that Trump lied to them. Jupiter is right on top of his Sun, North Node, and Uranus, and it's kind of blowing all that up. So he's being revealed as the liar that he is. People are talking about that, and they are making adjustments, especially to anybody who cares about women and family. The tail end of the kite, the rudder, you always hold the tail, it sails this way, but if you don't hold on to it this way is connected to independence and knowing that we matter and our unique individual right to blaze our own trail in life, to create our own path. That's what's holding the whole thing together here. This is headed towards the future, but it's holding on to point the way towards the past to figure out what the hell happened with our votes. Right? How many votes were lost, can't be found? How many were subverted and flipped with an an if-then filter type of a thing, flipped it from Trump to Kamala, or Kamala to Trump, I should say. And how much interference was there from Russia and China? I've already gone through all that with the Pluto and Aquarius video, so I won't go over it again. But while Mercury is going through its retrogradation, we will be doing our best to figure out what really happened, to connect the patterns to, the news. We're talking Mercury rules the news, and like I said before, our votes. So we're going to be going over all that, and we are going to be trying to articulate what we have learned. Again, we're gathering all these facts, making this adjustment. There are detours that will be had. We're setting the way for a little bit of a detour with this sesquisquare here, or a disruption to, major plans. Maybe we find out that they're going to, in the next few weeks, because it needs to happen soon, maybe we find out that they're not going to fight, that Biden's not going to fight, that maybe we're left in this big heap of disappointment, but we can always fight. We can always join together, go for the truth. Sag is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter and Sag have everything to do with finding the truth. What do you believe in? And explore, what do you believe in? There's nothing wrong with trying to make a decision. You don't have to make a decision right away. You can take your time with it, especially while Mercury's retrograde. But if you have, friends and loved ones that are caught up in the past and they're in this, polarity of Aries and Libra, which can be, hey, I don't hang out with losers. I'm a winner. We won. Trump won. That kind of thing. Do you think you're going to stay friends with them? Or do you think you're going to do you think you're going to invite them over for Thanksgiving? That's pretty doubtful. So relationship tests are here. Do you feel respected? That's not only the Sag energy, but also the Capricorn energy here. Do the people that you hang out with, are they open to your opinion? Do they mind having, or do they celebrate Mars and Leo? Do they celebrate the exchange of energy with the opposition to Pluto and Aquarius? Are they open, and do they love the conversation, Mercury, of energy to shine the light in Leo? Or are they narcissistic and bigoted and they don't want anything to do with it? They just want to say, we won, I won, da-da-da. I don't hang out with losers. I'm not a loser. You're a loser. Like that kind of just like third grade or I don't know, middle school or junior high school, whatever. Just ridiculous. I mean, there are people out there like that. So you're going to want to protect yourself. You are going to want to, really pick your friends, pick your battles, pick your friends. I mean, pick your battles is right here with the Mars and Pluto opposition. And yeah. So what else with Mercury retrograde? Mars will be going retrograde soon. I'm doing separate videos on each one of them so that you can really just focus in. I'm giving you the backdrop here, but I really want to focus in on what Mercury is all about. It's the way, primarily, I would say, is that we process information, but Mercury can represent communication on all levels of your being. Your psyche, your soul, your direct guidance, especially in the sign of Sag, because it's movement going towards the truth. Sag is very intuitive. It's very inspirational. Again, ruled by Jupiter. It's one of those beautiful signs that can get you on your path. It will get you to at least search for your path in life, and then by that searching, via the searching, you will get on your path. And then from there, you start exploring and then you start expanding your your sense of self, because again, it's ruled by Jupiter. It can be very healing on the mental levels, on the belief levels. When you figure out that you've been carrying a false belief around, and you realize how you decided that was true when it actually wasn't, then you know that you have the power to flip it. You have the power to go, oh, no, that isn't true. That's what my mom believed, and I picked that up from her. Or I picked up that false belief because this happened to me, and then I thought it was my fault. Or whatever it is. And so when you figure out what it is, then you have the power to flip the script. And words are power. There is the power of the word. That's it right there. That's it right there. The power to understand would be, Pluto in Aquarius, and then also Neptune in Pisces. There's a lot of understanding here. There's a lot of understanding with the sign of Sag, and then there's a lot of healing and understanding with Jupiter as well. But it's all about exploring our beliefs and trying to understand the truth. Always you have to go for the truth. There's no difference between love, light, and truth. They're all one and the same. The problem is that humans, we tend to distort the truth based on appearance values. If you're too invested in what other people think, then you're not going to be free. And if you don't have that inner freedom, well, you can't get, like I said, you cannot get the inner freedom without taking self-responsibility for creating your own life. So that's where we get into the, winner versus loser mentality, which is a trap. It's basically a trap. It's an immature, unevolved trap. So I think that's what we're up against. And right now I can't think of anything else to say about it other than, if we're exploring what our beliefs really are, then we're going to use that energy in the highest levels. If we are finding the patterns within that have created our past, then we're going to be using the energy in the highest level. But I'll just close up with this. I would say that probably 100% of all of you who listen to my channel or anything that I put out, this whole voting fiasco, foobar, snafu, is not on you. It has nothing to do with you. But because we're all here at this time, we have to realize that we signed up for it on some level. So I think that we can refer to Mars and Leo here and realize that you're here because of the fact that you're on the leading edge of standing up for love, standing up for being in your genuine confidence and courage. And you can fight against narcissism. You can fight against bigotry. And it's important also to remember that those of us who are born in the Pluto and Leo generation, at some point, now Mars is going to go retrograde. It'll go back into Cancer, actually. But then at some point, it's going to move forward, and I'll have the dates, later on for that. But it's going to join up with our natal Pluto. Mars conjunct natal Pluto can be very, very powerful. So this is about being on the leading edge being in your leadership and riding the edge, riding the waves of a test. There's going to be tests to stand in your love. to stand in your light and be loving and be kind, and walk away from anyone who is not loving and kind with you. If it's a family member or a dear friend or loved one, please let them know how much they've hurt you before you walk away. Let them know why you're walking away. And then you stand your ground. And then you just wait. Either they wake up and come back someday, or they don't. But it's no longer up to you to engage anymore in that way, because I really want you to protect your own energy, protect your precious heart, and know that your love is so much stronger than any of this darkness that we've been traversing through or experiencing. It's not this. None of this is on you, but you're here to hold the light. So, okay, I'm going to get this uploaded. As always, sending you tons of love, big hugs, and take good care. Thank you.